So this is my 2004 Nissan Titan, and you can see to get to the motor we have to pull the front end off, which wasn't too hard. You can see this is the primary area that bolts up the front end. You see these areas here. There's some bolt holes. I'm not sure if these are used, but anyways, can't remember if those were used. But this is the area here. You can see it's accessible to pull motors, so just kind of showing you the inside of a Nissan Titan, my Nissan Titan. I had a little bit of a battery acid from my other battery, so what I had to do is just kind of paint it up, but it got down in here too, so I just kind of cleaned it up. But you can see what the inside of a Nissan Titan looks like without a motor. Here's the torque converter. So just make sure when you're pulling your motor, you unbolt these 4 bolts, as you separate, the transmission. I think there was like 6 or 8 bolts. And then the oil pan sits on the back side of the axle here. So you actually have to angle the motor up to clear the oil pan. It wasn't too hard. The most difficult thing about pulling the motor was the engine mounts, getting at the JBA headers. I don't know. My hat's off to Nissan that put the JBA headers on, because man, it was a pain in the butt. But anyways, got it. The thing that you have to also consider is pulling the wheel wells on the truck so that you have accessibility, and tires. You got to pull the tires. This is the oil or the brake lines. I had to unbolt it so I can get my hand around it so I can work on the headers. And I actually had to cut one of the headers right here, or the flange to the exhaust manifold that came up, just so I can get the headers out. So I'll wind up re-welding that. That's not that big a deal, but you could see I just left all the wiring harnesses on. Let me back away and show you. So what wound up happening was I lost a radiator hose and accidentally drove the truck for some time without it, so obviously I warped ahead. You can see I left the oil lines in place, so it just makes it that much easier. You just unbolt this. These were bolted on the side of the block, so just left those as is. I disconnected the air conditioner. Here it came down, the line ran down and up front towards the condenser. So, but anyways, this is the motor. I tried to pull the head on it. Forget that. The guy told me it was about $1,800 to do this. So I started pulling this front cover off initially, and I got the head unbolted, but the difficulty in all of this was pulling this entire cover off, getting to all of this in the limited workspace that I had to get to the motor. So this motor had 116,000 miles on it, and it was running strong, so I was, needless to say, disappointed in losing my motor for a stupid oil radiator hose. I looked at it earlier. It looked like it was bulging, and I did notice it, but I didn't give it 2 thoughts about it. Went on a 200-mile trip, and just as I got back into a town, it blew. So there's the oil pan. As you can see, it's kind of interesting. It's real small. So anyhow, yeah, that's the motor I was working on. There's the new motor. That one's 50,000 miles. I picked up for $1,200, and they shipped it on the pallet for $1,200. So you can go online now. They have resources online. You can just simply type in, used parts or used junkyards, and there's a whole network of junkyards that you can find your motors online. So, like I said, this one was $20,000. They had some with only 400 miles on it for like $2,500. So, but for the do-it-yourselfer, it can be done. You just have to make sure you have the right tools. That's always the best, biggest consideration. This is the back side of the motor, as you can see. These were the bolts that we're talking about that we needed to pull. It's accessible from underneath with a 12 or a 14, I can't remember. Anyways, so that's the motor. You can see. The motors when you order them, they usually come without the alternator and the compressor, which is over here. My compressor's on the inside. So, but I've already changed the fluids out on the motor. So what I've done is put in new spark plugs. So I've got the iridiums, the Autolite iridiums. They're much less expensive. We're talking only like $8 a plug versus $20-some a plug for NGK. So here, this is let you see what it looks like. So this motor came out of Utah. So it kind of gives you an idea of what the motor looks like out of the vehicle. So let's see what else to say for you backyard mechanics. There's just a shot of me pulling the head. You can see I broke it free. I was trying to get at it right here, but this is all sealed. So I mean, the only way to get at these heads is to pull the entire front cover off, which you can see is right here. And there's a lot of work to that and not much room, so to get your hands in there. So, you know, if you ever have a Nissan motor run out on you, I'd probably suggest, you know, maybe just pulling the whole thing. Here's the interesting spot about this motor is that the starter sits just above the manifold. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's held where it's at. There's two bolts to get at. So yeah. Anyways, there's Nissan Titan motor. Let's see if we could see the exhaust or the intakes. You can see intakes. You can see the twin intakes, and then what wound up happening is this motor started hydraulicking this cylinder right here. This one right here. I guess I'm interested to see if it blew a head gasket or if it actually blew or cracked a cylinder. I don't know. So one day when I get a chance, I'm going to pull this apart and see if it was, you know, and the motor was overheating, you know, what it was, if it was this head gasket or the actually having a cylinder crack. So anyways, that's it. Hope you appreciate the video. It's not every day we get to see a Nissan Titan motor or Nissan truck out of this commission like this. So